Hey, welcome back to another episode of Kaspa Special. I'm Alex, your resident blockchain nerd with a mild obsession for proof-of-work coins.
And I'm Jamie, here to ask the questions you're probably too afraid to ask. Today, we're talking about two very different but equally fascinating crypto projects, Kaspa and Qubic.
Yeah, this is like putting a Formula One car next to a rocket ship. Both are fast, but made for totally different roads.
That's such a good analogy. Kaspa is laser-focused on making blockchain faster and more efficient. Meanwhile, Qubic is like, what if your mining rig could train an AI and become part of a global supercomputer?
Exactly, but here's the twist. They both use proof of work, just in very different ways. Kaspa refines it for speed and decentralization, while Qubic flips it on its head to do something useful.
So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's unpack what makes these two projects tick. And maybe tick differently than anything we've seen before.
Here's what's coming up. First, we'll dive into why Kaspa has become the speed demon of blockchains.
Then we'll get into what Qubic actually is, and why it's been quietly building something radically different.
We'll compare their tech under the hood, look at their tokenomics, and see how smart contracts work in both ecosystems, including things like Caravel and the upcoming Casplex.
We've also got a wild story about a Monero-style attack, and how one of these projects handled it like a pro.
And finally, we'll zoom out and ask the big question. Which direction are you headed? The highway of Kaspa or the rocket ship that is Qubic?
So buckle up, this is gonna be fun.
All right, let's start with Kaspa. At first glance, it looks like another Bitcoin-inspired project, but under the hood, it's doing some wild stuff.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is that Kaspa doesn't use a traditional blockchain. Instead, it uses something called a blockDAG. What even is that?
Think of a regular blockchain as a single-lane road. One block after another, very linear. A blockDAG is more like a multi-lane highway where multiple blocks can be processed in parallel.
So it's like if you could bake 10 cakes at once instead of waiting for each one to finish before starting the next?
Exactly. And to organize all that, Kaspa uses a protocol called GHOSTDAG, which keeps all those blocks in order without throwing any of them away, even the ones that would normally be considered orphans in Bitcoin.
That's clever. No wasted work, and you get super fast confirmations. I read they have 10 block every second.
Oh yeah, and get this, they're aiming to scale way higher, maybe even up to 100 blocks per second in the future, all thanks to how their protocol handles multiple blocks in parallel.
And this isn't some niche side project. They've got their own mining algorithm too, right?
They do. It's called kHeavyHash. It's ASIC resistant, meaning you don't need super expensive gear to mine KS. You can do it on regular GPUs, which helps keep the network decentralized.
Love that. No shady pre-mining, no VC allocation. It was a 100% fair launch, right?
Exactly. It launched in late 2021 with no pre-mine, no ICO, just open source code and a passionate community.
All right, so we've talked about how Kaspa launched fair and square. No pre-mines, no VCs, just code and go. But now let's flip the coin. Qubic.
Yeah, Qubic's a different beast altogether. If Kaspa is like a high-speed blockchain for payments, Qubic is more like a decentralized AI supercomputer with a built-in economic layer.
Wait, supercomputer? That sounds like sci-fi. So how does it actually work?
Okay, so imagine this. Instead of just mining blocks like in Bitcoin or Kaspa, Qubic miners, called orbs, actually perform useful computational work. That can be anything from AI model training to image rendering to simulating protein folding.
So it's not just wasting energy crunching hashes. It's doing real stuff?
Exactly. That's the whole pitch. Qubic wants to transform the way we think about mining by turning it into a marketplace for useful compute power. Think of it like a decentralized AWS, but instead of renting servers from Amazon, you tap into this global network of orbs.
That's wild. So what powers the network? Is it proof of work too?
Sort of. It's not a traditional blockchain, actually. Qubic has this thing called Qubic Lite, which is a very lightweight chain just used for consensus and coordination. The real magic happens off-chain. Orbs talk peer-to-peer, share workloads, and verify results.
So it's like blockchain as the brain and the orbs are the muscles?
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting. The rewards aren't fixed like Bitcoin block rewards. Instead, orbs get paid based on the value of the tasks they complete. So AI training might pay more than, say, running a math benchmark.
That feels like Uber for compute power, but decentralized. You drive, you earn.
Love that analogy. And there's no central coordinator. It's all protocol driven. People can publish jobs, others can bid to perform them, and everything's settled in Qubic's native currency, Qubic.
Okay, but what about the launch? We said Kaspa was fair. How did Qubic start?
Qubic had a much more mysterious and community-driven launch. It kind of bootstrapped itself in stealth, with anonymous devs like Max DeMarzi dropping hints and documentation. There was no token sale, no marketing blitz, just code that suddenly worked.
So more cypherpunk than startup-y?
Very much so. And the network is still super early. There's no exchange listing, and yet there are already thousands of orbs participating and earning real rewards by doing compute.
So you've got miners doing AI tasks, a decentralized economy forming around that, and no VCs pulling the strings?
Yep, it's kind of the anti-Ethereum, no smart contracts for finance, but instead smart compute for real-world tasks.
Man, if they pull that off, it could change the way we think about both crypto and cloud computing. So that raises a question. Is Qubic still decentralized if only a few people have the kind of machines needed to run it?
Good question. That's one of the criticisms. It could become hardware-gated, meaning only well-funded users can participate as computers, which could limit decentralization.
Meanwhile, Kaspa keeps things simple. Faster blocks, less energy use, and GPU-friendly mining.
Exactly. Kaspa is all about inclusive mining and instant finality. You send a transaction and boom, it's confirmed in a second.
That sounds like something crypto has been promising forever, but rarely delivers.
True. And Kaspa actually delivers. It's already processing thousands of transactions per second with plans to scale even higher.
All right, let's talk coins. What's the deal with CAS, the Kaspa token?
CAS has a capped supply, around 28.7 billion coins, and they're emitted in a kind of musical pattern called the chromatic phase. Emissions drop every month in smooth steps, not abrupt halvings.
So no big crashes like Bitcoin's halving cycles. That's smart. And there's no staking, right?
Nope, it's pure proof of work. You mine it, you use it for fees, and you can trade it. Super clean.
Now contrast that with Qubic. I heard they started with trillions of coins.
Yep. Originally, they minted 1 trillion tokens per week. That's kind of insane. But the community recently voted to reduce the total max supply from 1,000 trillion down to 200 trillion.
Wait, they voted on that?
They did. It's a decentralized governance system, so big decisions like that go to the community. Plus, now over 50% of new Qubic tokens get burned when people launch smart contracts or use AI services.
So the more people use the network, the more tokens disappear. That's a cool deflationary twist.
Okay, now let's talk smart contracts. Kaspa doesn't support native contracts on layer 1. Instead, they've got a layer 2 called Caravel.
Caravel, like the ship?
Yep, and just like the ship explored new worlds, Caravel opens up smart contracts for Kaspa. It's Ethereum-compatible, so devs can use tools they already know, Solidity, MetaMask, all that, but settle on Kaspa's blazing fast layer 1.
So it's like having Ethereum tools with Tesla speed. I like it. And you still get the benefits of Kaspa's instant confirmations and no congestion.
Exactly. But wait, there's more. Coming up on August 31st, there's another big addition to the Kaspa smart contract ecosystem called Kasplex.
Kasplex? That sounds like the name of a retro, futuristic cinema.
Ha! It kind of does. But what it really is a platform specifically for smart contracts and dApps built on top of Kaspa. Think of it as a whole new execution layer. Not Ethereum-compatible like Caravel, but designed from scratch to integrate deeply with Kaspa's blockDAG.
Ooh, so instead of copying Ethereum's model, they're building something tailor-made for Kaspa's unique tech?
Exactly. Kasplex will allow more native-feeling dApps, things like decentralized exchanges, games, and services, all without compromising Kaspa's core performance. And it's being built to scale with the DAG, not around it.
So Caravel gives you Ethereum compatibility, and Kasplex gives you something more native, more Kaspa-ish.
Bingo. Caravel is great for onboarding existing Web3 developers, and Kasplex is for building unique stuff that leverages Kaspa's architecture from the ground up.
Love that. And what about Qubic?
Now, Qubic's on another level. It has native smart contracts baked into the protocol. And here's the kicker. They're free to execute.
Free? Like no gas fees at all?
Yup, no fees, and they're designed for parallel execution. They claim support for up to 15 million transactions per second, thanks to the off-chain compute model.
Okay, that number seems a little insane. Are we sure that's not marketing hype?
Fair point. It's definitely ambitious, but they've already shown some pretty intense performance benchmarks. Of course, it's still early days, and the real test will be when more devs start building on it.
But the potential is huge. And just to compare, Ethereum can do what, like 30 TPS on layer 1?
Right. Even with layer 2 rollups, you're still dealing with fees, delays, and bridging headaches. Qubic skips all that and just runs contracts directly. And if it works as promised, it could be a game changer.
So, to recap, Kaspa's got Caravel now, Casplex coming soon, and Qubic is going full mad scientist mode with free, parallelized, built-in smart contracts.
That's it. Both ecosystems are evolving fast, but they're taking completely different routes. Ethereum and Bitcoin added layer 2s to fix their scaling. Kaspa and Qubic started with scaling and are now layering on features. Flip the script.
All right, now here's where things get spicy. I heard something about Qubic attacking Monero?
Yeah, and not just any attack. We're talking about a coordinated 51% takeover of the Monero network by Qubic miners. And it wasn't subtle.
Wait, 51% attack as in the thing that breaks blockchains? That's not just trolling, that's nuclear-level flexing.
Pretty much. Let's unpack that for a second. In proof-of-work systems like Monero, if a single entity or group controls over 50% of the total hash rate, they can essentially rewrite the rules.
You mean like rewriting blocks, double spending, or censoring transactions?
Exactly. And in Monero's case, it's supposed to be super resistant to that. It uses a mining algorithm called RandomX, which is optimized for CPUs to keep mining decentralized.
So how did Qubic miners manage to overpower it? Aren't Qubic miners supposed to be focused on AI tasks and supercomputing?
They are, but here's the twist. Qubic lets miners choose what useful work they want to do, and apparently some decided to redirect their enormous raw hash power to Monero, just to show they could. For context, Qubic has insane compute capacity, and Monero's total hash rate is relatively small.
Okay, but why? What's the motivation behind this? Just to flex?
Well, according to Qubic devs and some vocal community members, it was meant as a stress test, a way to show that even decentralized networks like Monero can be vulnerable if a large, coordinated entity wants to push.
That's not exactly comforting. Feels like testing your friend's parachute by cutting a few cords to see what happens.
Yeah, not exactly gentle. And the Monero community didn't take it lightly. Some called it irresponsible. Others saw it as a real wake-up call about hash rate security and the illusion of decentralization in smaller pound networks.
So what actually happened on the chain? Did they rewrite transactions or double spend?
No confirmed double spends, thankfully, but they did control enough of the hash rate to produce over half the blocks for a period, which is the technical definition of a 51% attack. The Qubic devs later claimed they shut it down voluntarily after proving their point.
Wow, that's both impressive and terrifying. So what's the takeaway here? That even if your mining algo is CPU-friendly like Monero's, it's not safe from raw compute power?
Exactly. It kind of reframes the whole decentralization debate. Because if one project with strong coordination and AI-focused miners can suddenly dominate your network, what does that say about the resilience of the network?
And what does that say about Qubic's potential, or its danger, if that power is used the wrong way?
That's the million-dollar question. It's either an incredible tool for decentralized AI and computing, or a reminder that even well-designed blockchains can get rocked if they're not prepared for raw power plays.
All right, let's zoom out. If someone's trying to pick between these, how would you summarize the difference?
Kaspa is like a highway system that's fast, secure, and built for scaling, without sacrificing decentralization. Think of it as your clean, efficient backbone for global payments.
And Qubic is like building a space station. Experimental, high-tech, and maybe a little risky, but if it works, it could completely change the game.
Exactly. Kaspa's the safe bet for people who believe in sound, scalable proof of work. Qubic is the moonshot. Big potential, but still very much in motion.
So now we've got to ask, to our listeners out there, which one are you leaning toward? Are you more of a keep it clean and fast Kaspa type? Or are you diving into the Qubic rabbit hole with all the sci-fi vibes?
Or maybe you're hedging your bets and exploring both. Honestly, that might be the smart play. Let us know. Shoot us a message or drop a comment if you're listening on a platform that allows it.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your take. Are you building something on one of these platforms? Have you tried out Caravel or even peeked into the Qubic SDK?
And what excites you more, the vision of a decentralized payment layer that just works, or the idea of global distributed supercomputing and free smart contracts?
We'll leave you with that thought. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And remember, whether you're cruising highways or launching rockets, crypto's still full of wild roads ahead. Well, that was one heck of a ride. We just went from blockchain highways to AI space stations.
And both of them are mining powered. If you're into rock-solid, fast, decentralized tech, keep watching Kaspa.
And if you're dreaming of a future where your GPU is working for science, not just hashes, Qubic might be your jam.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to subscribe and tweet at us at Kaspa_AI or leave a comment if you want us to cover other projects.
We'll catch you next time, and as always, keep your coffee hot and your crypto cold.